Hello, welcome to another Tuesday. I'm Dr. Laura Dabney, and we've been talking about parenting all month, and we've been talking about things not to do as a parent, things that look like a good idea, but not to do as a parent. So today I want to talk to you about things you can let go of as a parent, the guilt over some mistake you may have made as a parent, and how to let that go. Because guilt, excessive guilt, inappropriate guilt can get in the way of your relationship with your child, right? If you're feeling like you have to make something up or you have to explain or get them to finally, I don't know, let you off the hook, that's going to put a burden on your child that they don't need. So you can do this yourself, and I'm going to walk you through a couple of those. But just again, as a brief intro, I'm Dr. Laura Dabney, a relationship psychiatrist, and typically I deal with executive or professional men who are struggling with some relationship themselves. But here I like to say I'm opening my door up to all of you, anybody who is struggling with an emotional problem and still has trouble picking up that bone. So I'm going to step into your place, or you can virtually step into my place and see what this is all about and see how I do things. And hopefully that will help ease you into treatment with somebody when you're ready. Okay, so today, the parenting, the guilt, such a tough job that you can't leave, and people's lives depend on it. So pretty tricky. So what are these subjects or problems that people come to me with, beating themselves up? And I'm trying to say, no, it's not as big a problem as you're making it out. One is the general topic of a loss of control. So let's say you maybe yelled at your child, or maybe you showed a strong emotion, about something else there, like you were angry at your spouse, or an argument spilled over, or you punished them for a longer time than you think you should have. Something like that, where you went a little bit overboard and you wished you hadn't. Instead of beating yourself up over that, remember that it's human. Okay, we have emotions. It's not like you need to hide them. It's not as if you're going to instantaneously know what that emotion is and therefore be able to let it out more graciously. Sometimes we have to go back. Oftentimes we have to go back and re-examine. In retrospect, gee, I kind of went out of control there a little bit. And think about that. And part of that then is to, instead of beating yourself up, but to go back to your child and simply tell them. Apologize if that's in order, and give a brief explanation, nothing too long. So I'm so sorry. My voice got louder. I yelled it, and I wished I hadn't. I really wanted to have a discussion with you. I think it's because I had something else going on at work that day. Real brief. And then asked for their permission to try again. I'd like to try this again. If you would be so kind as to let me have another chance. A lot of parents feel that they shouldn't, or there's some resistance to apologizing, but they really want their kid to apologize to them. They're very, very big on a child needing to apologize, needing to respect me, but you have to respect your child also. It's a two-way street, because you want him to have relationships after you that are two-way streets. So by taking the one down, apologizing, giving that little brief explanation, asking to try again, you're demonstrating how they should and could do this. Okay, so in the future, when somebody, when they lose control or have a problem, they'll know exactly. You'll have given them the template. So they know how it feels on the other side, and they know how to give that apology to you or to somebody else. All right, so loss of control, apologize, brief explanation, ask for another chance. Okay, the second issue that people tend to come in beating themselves up over unnecessarily is some kind of a separation with another family member, whether it's a divorce from the child's parent, maybe it's a separation from your parent, the child's grandparent, or a sibling or somebody else, someone maybe that was a family friend. If you've had to set a boundary, whether it's physically leaving, emotionally leaving, whatever that boundary is, do not use your child's relationship with that person as an excuse to not set that boundary. Does that make sense? So if you're having a problem with your parent, they're being invasive or intrusive, and you try to work it out and it's not working, you just have to, for your safety, sanity, let them go, distance yourself from them or anybody. That's going to be in your child's best interest because it's going to be in your best interest. Right? That's you helping yourself in order to help the relationships of those in your life. They don't want to see you being run over or taken over, or none of that is good for them either. But I have so many patients who say, but I don't want to rob them of their relationship with their grandparent. You're not robbing them of the relationship. You're strengthening your relationship with them, which they need way more than a relationship with a grandparent. I've got parents, my kids, I want them to have a relationship with the grandparents too. It is a wonderful thing, but having a solid relationship with a parent is everything. Okay? So do not fool yourself that this pain or separation from the child, from the family member, is somehow more important than yours, because it's not. And when the child gets older, you can give a brief explanation of the separation. Again, brief, because you don't want to look like you're putting the problem on your child. Just explain, well, we just couldn't work things out, and it was better for us, better for me that I separate. But when you get to be driving age, or you turn 18, or if you want to have a relationship with them and don't need me to facilitate that, I will not stand between you. Okay? And that child is free to go on and have a relationship if they so choose. Why is this important? Because you are demonstrating, just like with the apology situation, you're demonstrating how to set boundaries. Okay? Again, you don't want to get always in a position where you're telling your child to set boundaries. You also want to show them how it's done, right? You want to show them, this is how I did it, and that gives them a template. So when they get to be of age, someone's walking all over them, and you're wondering, gee, why do they keep letting this person walk all over them? Right? Well, because of you, because you've set a boundary and you showed them how. Okay? That's very important for them to not only do, but to see you do, and to see you do it right. So stop beating yourself up over that. Okay, the third thing that a lot of parents, especially in this area, beat themselves up for is physical distancing from your child. We actually talked in the last video about how physical distancing from a child is, I think most people understand that's not a good thing in general. But there are times where physical distancing is necessary. Maybe you are in the military and you have to be deployed. That's a good example. Or for your work, you have to go somewhere for some period of time. Or perhaps there's a sick family member that you need to take care of, or some legal issue you have to separate and go get taken care of for the best interest of you and your family. Again, going back to how you handle it, right? It isn't, I'm not saying this is it's easy for your children or your child, but if you just leave and say, well, I got to go and that's how it is, yes, that's going to make it a little harder. But there are ways you can mitigate that loss with your child by, depending on their age. If they're younger, you want to give them something concrete to hold on to, especially if it's something that kids are very sensitive to smells and textures. So if you have a shirt you wear every day are allowed, like a t-shirt or undershirt, or maybe you have a hairbrush or something like that that they can hold on to and hold with them. That's great for a younger child. Older child, you may want to sit with a calendar and have some kind of communication set up in advance, and also give them a picture of you or something that you've done together. Maybe you and your child can make a little photo album before you leave. But the communication piece, whatever you can do, and especially if it's scheduled, that gives them a little bit more to look at the calendar and know when it's coming, as opposed to feeling like they never know when that's happening. And if you have no communication, then I recommend leaving a tape recording of different messages with somebody who can play that on a regular schedule. Okay, so just that they can hear your voice, or read your words. With older kids like late teens, I recommend just sending a funny text, a cartoon, or a little story maybe, just to touch base, because they will be working out their comings and goings at that time as well. So you may have to wait for them to say, hey, what's going on with you? They may have to wait for them to reach out to you before you have a longer discussion. Okay, so again, checking back in with them shows them how in the future, when they need to separate from somebody physically, distance themselves when they don't want to, this is how they can prepare a loved one in advance. So I hope that message sort of came through there, that pattern of dealing with things. Making mistakes is part of the game. Parenting it's about making many, many mistakes, and hopefully, thinking maybe heading off some of those mistakes in advance, but it's about going back and making an example of that, thinking, how would I want my child to handle this? How would I wish my parents have handled this? Or how did they handle it where it worked for me? And then go ahead and show them that. Take the one down. Don't get trapped into the, I can't take the one down or my kid won't respect me. That's absolutely the opposite. Okay, so next week we have one more Tuesday, and that Tuesday I'm going to wrap up everything we talked about over the last 3 weeks, and with a little bit more information on each, so you can be a parenting star. Yes. Thanks, everybody. See you next week. Oh, if I can help anybody, I always forget to do this. If I can help anybody with this any further or with any problem, please give us a call. But the easiest way to reach me, 757-340-8800. Thanks so much, you guys.